Okay. Thank you so much, tech support. We really appreciate all of your help. Yeah, you're welcome. Good thing we're paying you the big bucks.
One day we're going to have 10 million followers.
Yeah.
And we will pay you, Brian.
Yeah.
One day.
Just not right now.
Probably not tomorrow either. Just you enjoy the hobby.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, actually, we're going to pretend like we care just so we look kind, but then
we don't actually give a fuck.
Yeah, but this is recording, so Brian, we love you. Hey, adventurers, welcome to Let's Just Go podcast. I'm Chris.
And I'm Kayla. And this week we are talking about all things Halloween because it is May and we are halfway to Halloween. It's very exciting.
Is it, do you enjoy that holiday in general?
No, actually, I don't.
No?
I mean, I'm not a costume person. I am not really a sweet treats person. Like, I don't hate candy. I've actually been eating a lot of it recently. But it's like I would reach for something savory over something sweet almost every single time.
Okay. I enjoy the night of, right, and like seeing all the kids in their costumes. And growing up, we always had our own. My aunt made them because you couldn't just run to Walmart and get a $20, full costume. So she like hand sewed them and all. But so I do appreciate, especially a homemade one. But I used to be an elementary teacher, and Halloween was fucking rough. It was rough. And I think the part that I least like, I loved it, right? I mean, I love having fun. I love a good party. I loved when the kids were so excited, but you know, fucking deal with all the parents because they'd come in and they want to like come to the classroom party. I'm like, get the fuck out. Get out. I'm about to yell at every one of these kids in front of all of you because they are off the charts. They've been eating shit. They're so excited for the night, as they should be. They're kids, but I was like, But really, the next day was always a little rougher.
I was going to ask which was worse. Yeah. Can I tell you my worst Halloween memory?
Yeah.
Okay. So I used to live outside of Vegas as a kid. And my mom took me to the doctor on Halloween. I don't know why. And they said that I needed to limit my sugar intake and that I wasn't allowed to have candy. I was in probably second grade. I was either in second or third grade. Like, is that not the worst thing you could tell a child on Halloween?
Did they say that to you, or did your mom tell you they said that and it was really a farce?
No, they said that to me. Like, I was in the room when it happened.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah, it was really... She still let me eat candy, just not like as... It was like, okay, we'll go trick-or-treating and like, here's the bucket, but like, you can only have a couple of pieces. Yeah, it didn't last for very long, but still very disappointing.
We always had the girls donate it. Like they'll have some and we have like pay a little bit and then we donate it to the Treats for Troops because they send it over to, so it's like always a good, but my fat ass used to raid they would like be collecting for the troops and I'd be like, where's the Snickers bar?
Wait, what's your candy of choice? Snickers?
Snickers and Reese's.
Reese's, yeah.
But like in real life, like if I'm getting on a plane or something, it's peanut M&Ms.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
You want to send someone into anaphylactic shock on a plane. Understood.
Mm-hmm. If it frees up the middle seat. I'm kidding, friends. I'm kidding. Yeah. So, all right. So we're talking all things Halloween. It is exciting. I like the cute, fun aspect. I don't love the scary aspect of it as much anymore. I poop a little bit. I poop and I have to go change my pants. So the whole point of what we're talking about today is what things happen at some of the more popular theme park destinations across the country, specifically in Walt Disney World, Disneyland, and Universal Studios. Do they actually have something? They have a Halloween Horror Nights Universal Hollywood too, right?
Yeah.
So we thought we'd start with Walt Disney World. Have you been to Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party?
I
Thank you, whoever
have.
named that.
Yeah. I've been to that. I went to Boo Bash the like one time that happened. That was
During
2020.
COVID.
Yeah, that was honestly bring back Boo Bash. Mickey's Not So Scary is great, but bring back Boo Bash because it was better.
Well, Boo Bash was more exclusive, right? Less
Yeah.
people. I went to Boo Bash the night it rained torrential downpours.
Yeah.
We ended up getting refunds because it was a disaster because everything was outside, everything was canceled, and you're spending so much money. It was rough. I felt bad for the guest services people, but so Boo Bash is a thing of the past. But I agree
Yeah.
they should be bringing that back. But Mickey's Not So Scary. So what's your? I guess we should talk a little bit about it, right? And they always sort of switch things up, but it generally happens. It varies, but 4 times a week, generally Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday of a week, and Magic Kingdom is closed early, and you can, with the special ticket, get into Magic Kingdom from 7 p.m. till midnight. You actually can get in a little earlier than that, but the party is from 7 p.m. till midnight. You could trick or treat around Magic Kingdom. They have a dozen or so places where kids can go. Treat trail, yep, the treat trail. They even have special ones that are allergy friendly. And then they have special Halloween parade, fireworks, stage shows with I feel like they brought them back, but the infamous Sanderson sisters from Hocus Pocus. And then they always have special character meet and greet. So if you want to meet, for example, all 7 dwarfs in one place, or Jack and Sally, or more obscure characters that aren't out in the parks on the normal day, you got to get to one of these parties.
Yeah.
The thing is, you can't do it all,
No.
right? Because people are like, oh, I'm going to go because I want to meet this character and get all this candy and get on the short lines for the rides because everybody's doing all the other stuff. And I'm like, well, midnight comes around pretty quickly.
Yes, it does.
Tell Cinderella that.
And it's the only at Disney World, you can only see the Halloween parade if you have a ticket to Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. Otherwise, you're not seeing it. So that is a big sell for a lot of people if you're into parades. It is a very fun parade. They've got grave diggers for the Haunted Mansion with like their shovels that are like sparking up on the ground, which is pretty cool. I think that's my favorite part of the entire parade.
They're some of the best. And it starts with the parade starts with the
Horseman.
Headless Horseman.
Yeah.
Right?
Terrifying. I don't know how they do that. I've tried to. Do you ever like just look at something and you're like, but how? Is this magic?
I know, because it's like a real short person, maybe?
It must. I don't know. But I would be really exhausted, like holding my
your
hand
head
up for that long. Just trotting on a horse. Like, 1, you're on horseback. 2, you're having to hold your hand up. And like all eyes are on you for a solid like 15 minutes going down that path. Like that sounds exhausting. I could never. This is why I'm never been a character performer.
Yeah, no, that sounds terrible. I think the live, like riding a live horseback, and they don't have, I feel like I don't think they have like handlers because he's kind of riding in advance of the whole parade, and he's often like 5 minutes in front of everybody else. So probably just praying that the horse remains calm.
Or like doesn't poop on the trail, because that is definitely a problem.
Halloween, though, it's just like, it's part of the show, I guess. But I mean, you get the it's part of the show. It's part of the show. Oh. So you get the candy, but I think the trick here is, it's not for the little, it is for the little ones. There's nothing really too scary about any of it, but it's just the time of the day, right? Yeah. Till midnight. So, I mean, I'm going to be honest, if you're hitting the parks hard all day, staying up till midnight.
It's hard. You're exhausted by the end of it.
You are. So you got to plan a softer morning the next day.
Yeah.
But have you ever done the rides during?
Yeah. I'm not going to say it's a
Yeah.
walk onto Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, but it's not a very long line. And as you get later in the night, because like you're saying, it's exhausting to stay up till midnight. If you get in line at like 11:50 for Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, it is pretty close to a walk on when I've done it, which is great. Pirates of the Caribbean has like sometimes, I guess not always, has like actors in the queue, which is really fun. They're not scary. They're just like, I think they're supposed to be like prisoners or something. Just engaging with the
I don't know if I've ever ridden pirates during it.
Yeah.
I think the cool thing is obviously in all things Disney they flip all the cast members have different outfits. And then even the Haunted Mansion folks have extra makeup on where they actually look dead,
Yes.
which
Yeah.
is really cool. Yeah.
I had a roommate that worked on Haunted Mansion, and I remember her shift. I think like the first hour of her shift was getting into hair and makeup because they're like
Oh boy.
teasing the shit out of your hair and like spraying it so that it looks gray. And then she'd get home at like, I don't know, 2 or 3 in the morning and then have to take all of that makeup off. Like, yeah, you're getting paid to put it on, but then she's having to like wipe her face down. It just did not seem like a good time to me at all.
I don't know. Yeah, that doesn't sound great. In fact, at
It's
all.
cool looking though. Like, she
It's
looked
very
very
cool.
spooky, which was really fun.
And that's obviously a very popular ride, hence the theming
Yeah.
of it for the party.
Yeah.
I think the one thing we didn't talk about is the most amazing crowd control, right? So the
Yes.
Magic Kingdom closes at 6 p.m. for the day guest people. But if you have a ticket, you can stay. And they do this amazing thing where they kind of create a line of cast members and just sort of walk from the back of the park closer. And then if you don't have the wristband on, you got to keep moving towards the front of the gate. And then they're checking every time you get on a line after 6 p.m. If you don't have the wristband, you can't get on the ride, right?
Yeah.
Because they're trying to get you out of the park.
But you
Pretty
can
amazing.
stay if you are going to Magic Kingdom on a party day and you do not have a ticket. You can still stay on Main Street and shop for the hour or however long. I honestly don't think that they really, I'm sure they do check along Main Street at some point because like the parade's coming through and stuff, but you do have time to like shop. It's not like they're forcing you all the way out of the park and like immediately.
Right.
So if
Right.
you're wanting to like swing into a store and buy a sweatshirt or something on your way out, you do have the ability to do that, which is nice.
And, it like everything, it's not cheap, right? So tickets this year are starting at $119, going up to $199. They do sell out really often. The ones on Halloween and the very first one or two sell out the quickest, just because everybody wants to
Influencers.
get there and see it and
Yeah.
or get there on Halloween. So assuming they'll be the ones that are the 199 price point.
Yeah.
So if you're a family of four, that's an extra $800, for an event for the evening. So I always tell people, do I think it's worth it? I think it's worth seeing once. And I used to say, if you're not going to get back there at that time, you should see it. You
Yeah.
should see it.
Also, don't make that a park day. Make that like I am team, have that be your like go to Disney Springs day, have that be a pool day. If there's any like just relaxing, maybe you're working a little bit on your trip and that's a day of you to like catch up on work, like whatever it looks like. Going, because if you're waking up to rope drop a park at, let's say you're waking up at 6 a.m., right, to make sure that you're ready to go, you've got your lightning lanes booked, you're making sure you're at the
Yep.
park the half hour before opening, like getting, and then you have to go back at some point and change because if you want to be in a costume, you're probably not going to wear your costume all day. Like it's a long day.
There are some good costumes because it's the one time adults can wear costumes into Disney World, into Magic Kingdom, and it's some pretty cool things. And then this year, I know we don't talk about Bruno, but Bruno's going to be at it's this first time debuting at the party. So, like we were saying, the special character meet and greets.
Yeah.
So you're our resident Disneyland chick.
Yeah. You got Oogie
but
Boogie
you've
Bash on the West
Oogie
Coast.
Boogie Bash.
I've never been.
So you have never been because it's
It's
fucking possible to get
impossible.
tickets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So last year I was there during the Halloween time season with my best friend and her husband. And she was very excited. It was their first trip to Disneyland. And I was like, all right, we're going to go to Oogie Boogie Bash. And every single client of mine that was traveling over the Halloween season was successful in getting their tickets. I sat in a queue for 8 hours. When the time came for it to be my turn, I was trying to add the tickets to my cart and they weren't available. They were showing as available and then they wouldn't go in my cart, which told me that they sold out literally from under me. And then we were staying at the Grand Californian, and in years past, there's been a special selection set aside for Disney resort guests of like day of tickets and things. So I asked the front desk and they said, hey, we're not doing it this year. We haven't had any available. Your best bet is to go to the ticket booth. So I went to the ticket booth. The woman laughed at me and said, absolutely not. There's no tickets available. But I have been told that this year they're really cracking down on like resellers and like banning them from the parks and things. So that's not necessarily helpful in terms of buying the tickets, but at least it should make it a little less busy in the parks.
Maybe less people are trying to grab them because it is so exclusive, right? So in part, there's not nearly as many party nights as Walt Disney World, right? I mean, this year in Walt Disney World, I guess we didn't talk about the date. So it starts on August 9th and goes all the way through October 31st. And there's more party nights than has ever been, where we don't even have information yet on the Oogie Boogie Bash, right, in Disneyland. So that always comes out a little later, and then it's a much shorter time period.
But I will say, if you have been to Mickey's Not So Scary, and you are on the fence about going to Oogie Boogie Bash, it's so hard to say, Oogie Boogie Bash. Wow, tongue twister. If you're on the fence about it, they are drastically different events. So Oogie Boogie Bash takes place at California Adventure Park. Their treat trails are very different than Walt Disney World's. So at Magic Kingdom, your treat trails are just going through like random areas of the park, and you're just getting a bag full of candy, and that's it. That's like the entire experience. At Oogie Boogie Bash, your treat trails are also going to be where you're seeing characters, and the characters that you're seeing at Oogie Boogie Bash are pretty strictly villains. So you're going to see like Jafar or the Queen of Hearts. This year, or not this year, in 2023, they had the villain from Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which is like so niche and random. And you're seeing them as you're walking to get the candy. So you're not stopping for pictures or anything like that, but
they're on a stage that's a little closed off, right? And engaging with the crowd.
Yep.
Yeah.
So like Sid from Toy Story, I think he's the scariest one, just because I don't like children because children are mean, and Sid is mean. And like watching his interactions with guests, he's just a straight up asshole. Like he's like talking shit about like their outfits, and like
he is an asshole.
He's just a mean boy. I don't like.
He's not very kind.
No. But it's cool. It's so cool to see the interactions that these characters are having. Like, what is the guy's name from Coco? Ernesto? Is that his name?
Coco.
The bad guy?
Yes.
Because he's on a stage literally singing. Like, he's performing his music. Like, it's completely different than Mickey's Not So Scary. The one thing that is similar about both is that you mentioned this briefly, and I just want to touch on it a little bit more. They both have allergen-friendly options when you're going through those treat trails. So Brian, my boyfriend, has a tree nut allergy, and it's not super severe. Like, he knows what candy he can and can't eat because he's an adult. But it's great for kids. They'll give you a different colored bag. It's teal, which I think Most people at this point know that's the like
Yeah.
allergy friendly color. So it's teal. And then when you go to get your scooped candy, they don't scoop any candy for the allergen people. They give them a little teal token. And then you go to guest services. They have like designated spots and you get to pick out candy from like a giant piece of paper that has all of your different options. And it spells out like what allergens there are. And you tell them like, hey, I'm allergic to tree nuts. And they're like, okay, you can have everything except for this, this, and this. And then they fill up your bag. It's great.
That is great. And then those kids don't have to feel like they're missing out.
Yeah.
So,
It is great.
all right. So we have to get to Oogie Boogie Bash. I also feel like I really identify closely with Oogie Boogie and his similar body types.
Are you
so,
green? I'm
No, just doughy.
just understood. Yep. I get it.
Poo size, as they say.
Yeah.
So that brings us to, excuse me, to the final place, which we've talked about before on our Universal focused podcast, but
Yeah.
that brings us to Halloween Horror Nights, which is a complete 180 from anything that Disney's doing, right? And we understand that a lot of times Universal has it's just focused to a different crowd. I don't think they actually have an age limit, but they definitely have a recommendation, I think, of 13 and above, because there's a full-on sex show, right? Like it's like S&M-ish kind of, right? So, and I think, in general, Universal is just a little bit more playful when it comes to those sorts of things, where there may be cursing and things, where you'll never really hear that from Disney.
Yeah.
So I don't know much about the Universal Hollywood one, though.
In that same trip that we didn't get Oogie Boogie Bash tickets, we went to Universal for the day. And we weren't there for Halloween Horror Nights because I'm a big old scaredy cat and I will not be doing Halloween Horror Nights. But we saw like the setup and everything. And my one issue with Universal Studios Hollywood.
You have a lot of issues.
Right. This is a specific one that I have with Universal Hollywood, is that the park actually closes half an hour earlier than they say. So if it says the park closes at 6, you cannot get on a ride after 5:30.
Oh.
And I didn't know that. So PSA to all of you that might travel during Halloween Horror Night season to Universal Hollywood, you cannot get, like, I hadn't done the Secret Life of Pets ride yet. And so I was like, oh, we'll make that the last thing we do. And I went to go get in line at like 5:31. And they were like, oh, nope, the line's closed. And they were like in the process of filtering in everyone for Halloween Horror Nights and getting everyone out. So like as we left the park, the line was super long to get in. But I do know that they offer, what do they call it? It's not VIP. It's RIP.
RIP.
Yeah. So they do offer that tour. For those of you who don't know, Universal does a VIP tour during the day where you're with a cast member going through the parks, going on different rides and things like that. And the RIP tour is similar, except that instead of going on rides, you're going through the houses. It sounds like a fun time. If I were to do Halloween Horror Nights, I would probably do the RIP tour. I feel like I'd feel safer having someone who works there with me. I know that's not actually the case.
If I knew, I don't mind, like, I appreciate all of the things. So, all right, so let's talk about Universal Studios Orlando is a little bit different because it has 2 parks, right? So they can close out, they can sort of keep the other park going while Islands of Adventure going, while they have the Halloween Horror Nights in Universal Studios, because that's also where they have the sound stages and they set up all the houses, right? And all the houses have a theme, and so they attract people just because of the themes of what was it last year? Their big one was
The Last of Us.
The Last of Us. They
Stranger
did that other crazy
Things.
Stranger Things. That's what I was thinking of. So every year they sort of switch up some of them, and which has the draw. So you can go in, which I would appreciate those houses, right? I just
Yeah.
don't appreciate people jumping out at me, getting in
Yep.
my face, touching me, or getting like that part is it's not for me anymore.
It
And
was
also,
never
I'm
for
afraid
me.
of, I used to love it, but now I scream. I mean, I literally pushed my at the time 11-year-old child and her friend out of the way and ran out screaming from a haunted house. So I'm not kidding. I was so embarrassed. But the chainsaw came out and I fucking
Oh,
swipe
no.
and I just started running, screaming
The
like
last
the
time I
little
went
bitch I
through a
am.
haunted house, I was in high school and it was at our local amusement park. They do what they call Fright Fest, which is it's a Six Flags thing, and they used to be owned by Six Flags, so they just still do it. And I worked there. Like I know the people that are working Fright Fest, and I still was absolutely terrified. At one point, we just ducked into each other and kept running to try to get through this haunted house. Someone at one point, like that worked there, pointed for us so that we knew like where to go to get out because we were clearly lost. And then we got out, and then that's when the chainsaws came out, and I was like, "Man, fuck this!" Like I thought the haunted house was it, and then I was done, and then they have chainsaws, and I was like, "No, absolutely not."
God,
Yeah.
no. I do need to get there though. I need to get because that, you know, as is all of these like Halloween Horror Nights has special food
Yeah.
and options. I would love to do the RIP tour because they also have access to like certain lounge areas where they have special drinks and things. I think that you still have to purchase them, but
Yeah.
so like for example, in I think one of them is above the Jimmy Kimmel
Oh, the
ride.
Jimmy Fallon
So there's
ride,
like
not Jimmy
the
Kimmel.
Jimmy Fallon ride, and there's a lounge above that for that. So
Oh, that's cool.
I think we need to go. We don't. I don't know if I need to go through the houses, but I do want to go
Yeah.
once just to see the shows and the food and things.
Did you watch? I mean, I'm a TikTok girl. Last year on TikTok, people were doing like walkthroughs of the houses, and I don't know if you've watched The Last of Us, but
I have not.
the house, like I watched a walkthrough of the house, and it wasn't like jump out at you scary like some of the houses can be, and it was so well done. Like it was so well themed. I think that if I went late enough in the season to where I could watch walkthroughs of all of the houses and know, like, if I'm prepared, I'm also the kind of person that when I go to a restaurant, I've already looked at the menu and figured out what I'm eating before I get there. So if I can have that sort of like being aware before I go, I think I could. I think I could do it.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. Yeah, and actually, Connor, who we had on to talk about Universal, he had said some were definitely more scary than others. Some were just like gruesome and dark, but not
Yeah.
like scary. Oh man, well, I think I need a Snickers bar.
I have a bunch of candy at my house. I recently rediscovered sweet tarts. I forgot how incredibly delicious those are.
I think if I'm going for non-chocolate candy, I need those little watermelon slices,
Oh, yeah.
like
Ha-
the Sour Patch watermelons or
yeah.
something.
Are freeze dried candy a thing in Philly like they are here in Seattle?
No.
Oh my gosh. It was not a thing in San Antonio. I went to a produce stand the other day. They had freeze dried candy. I asked the guy at the check stand about it. He said the Skittles are the best ones, and I got them. And they were so
So
good.
So freeze-dried Skittles, I think, are a thing. So
Yeah.
there were freeze-dried Skittles, I think, in a drink actually at Disney World or something
Oh,
recently. And then I know my kids got them in their Easter baskets this year. So
did you have any? They're so good.
yeah, they are good. They are good.
I didn't
They're like
realize that I thought they were.
popcorn.
Yes. I'm like, man, regular Skittles I could never eat again. They're too chewy. It's so fun to
Yep.
just have it like fall apart in your mouth essentially. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good.
All right. Well, now we need candy
Yeah, that's the hard part about Halloween. You know, you talk about Halloween and all you want is candy.
So I guess we can't really do a best one because we've both only been to the same one of the three things
Yeah,
we talked about, right? Shit.
right.
So
I do think Oogie Boogie Bash is probably the best, though, of the three, from what I know about it.
it's yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm biased, though, and I always think Disneyland's the best when it comes to
And
Halloween.
we didn't mention the pricing of Halloween Horror Nights, generally running in the same price range of Disney, like so in that 120 to 180 ish range,
Yeah.
depending upon what you're doing. The one thing that's very different about Halloween Horror Nights is they have multiple options for express pass to get through the houses, RIP tours, private and shared ones. So there's different options for you to make the night
Plus the
more
season
exclusive.
passes that they offer
Yep. Yeah,
specifically
the
for Halloween Horror Nights.
Connor had that where he could just go often.
Gross.
Confused.
What a
I know, it's-
weirdo. Why do we talk to him?
we shouldn't. Let's stop.
Yeah.
It's ending. It's over.
Yep.
All right. Well, so we're halfway to Halloween, which means we're already thinking about the end of October,
Yeah.
and maybe you're thinking about what's coming with the November and December holidays. So lots happening.
You know what? One thing
Wrap
we
this
didn't
shit up.
talk about for Halloween,
Oh fuck.
it's just a real quick Halloween on the high seas.
Oh shit.
I know.
I
We
did-
didn't.
I did that this past year for the first time.
Yeah.
I was mildly disappointed. I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I'm never really disappointed on a Disney cruise. I
Right,
think I've
right.
talked about that.
Yeah.
But the Halloween, the tree, like the decorations are really cool
Yeah.
on the cruise ship, on the Disney cruise ship. But what I was not super feeling was the trick or treating. They just basically had bags that they gave you. So there wasn't
Oh.
like, and I get it, you can't really move about a cruise ship. It's not perfectly ideal, but it wasn't explicitly. So like, unlike you, I'm not the one that's like, I know what I'm eating. So I try not to read up too much on it because I want to be surprised. I was like, what? Is this
Yeah.
what's happening here? So, and I think they weren't like, hey, we're going to have full like bags of candy that they had like 3 stops that you could go to. And it was all on the pool deck, all of them on the pool deck. So you were just, the pool deck was chaos. And
Of course. My first Disney cruise was Halloween on the high seas, and it was just after the pandemic. So trick-or-treating was not a thing on that cruise. But I loved seeing the characters in their costumes and meeting I know we've talked about this. Meeting characters on a Disney cruise is so much easier than meeting characters literally anywhere else. And seeing them in their special little costumes just makes it that much better.
yeah, like Minnie as a Sanderson sister.
Yes.
You can't beat that. But I agree. We know we have way better character access on a Disney cruise versus the Disney World. And so, good call.
Yeah.
Actually, so yeah, I take it back. I'll go on a Disney cruise wins for me. Send me on a Halloween on the high seas.
See?
All right, wrap this shit up.
Thank you everyone for listening. If you're thinking about Halloween right now, let us know. I know that I don't think Halloween Horror Night tickets are on sale now. I know that Mickey's Not So Scary go on sale soon. I don't think they'll be on sale by the time this airs yet. I want to say it's June that they go on sale. When do they go on sale?
No, they go on sale for hotel resort guests May 8th and then for everybody May 15th.
Oh my gosh. So I'm a
they
liar.
will
Well,
be
no.
on sale.
So for everybody, they won't be on sale yet, but for hotel guests, they will be.
Right.
But yeah, so check that out if that's something you're interested in. Hopefully we'll know more about Oogie Boogie Bash in the next soon. I don't know. Disneyland's always so far behind with things. But otherwise, we really appreciate you listening to us. And as always, please subscribe and download and engage with us. And otherwise, let's just go.